The village chief's wife was just a village woman with limited knowledge. Her legs went weak after being frightened by Yun Chujio. Yun Chujio continued, "Have you heard of a term called bewitching the masses? The two of you did all those dirty things and put them on my head. Then you said that I was a jinx or something. This is bewitching the masses. The current emperor is so wise. How can there be a jinx in the world? This is a great crime to kill 9 families. If it was your idea, then kill 9 families of your own family. If it was the village chief's idea, then kill 9 families of his. Kill 9 families?" The village chief's wife was so scared that she collapsed on the ground. She howled, "This was all that damned idea. He took a fancy to your 3 tile-roofed houses and said that he could get the house if he killed you. I was forced by him." The village chief's head buzzed when he heard his wife's words, but his mouth was gagged and he could not speak. "According to what you said, this was all the village chief's idea? Then tell me what happened. With so many people to prove it to you, you can get rid of the main culprit." The village chief's wife was so scared by Yun Chujio's words that she almost fainted. She immediately told him what happened. In fact, it was very simple. When Li Juzi was repairing the wall of the village chief's house, the village chief took advantage of his carelessness and bumped into him. Li Juzi's leg was broken. The reason why the iron chain fell into the well was because the village chief's wife had smeared some tung oil on the side of the well. After the iron chain fell in, the village chief covered the tung oil on the ground with soil. The fire at Aunt Liu's house was also set by the village chief. As for Carpenter Liu's son, the village chief coveted the silver collar and wanted to make the matter bigger so that he could compel the villagers to burn Yun Chujio to death. Therefore, he put the poison in the soup and fed it to Carpenter's son's son. The poison would not immediately kill people, so Carpenter Liu did not suspect the village chief. After the villagers heard what the village chief's wife said, a few of the victims immediately rushed to the village chief and his wife, beating and scolding them. The scene was very chaotic for a moment. Yun Chujio watched the farce with a smile. People really had to have brains. Otherwise, they wouldn't even know that they were being played, let alone using their brains to save themselves. After a while, Yun Chujio said, "All right, stop beating them. If they really die, it won't be good if the officials know about it. Just send them to the officials tomorrow." When the villagers heard what Yun Chujio said, they all stopped. Although the villagers didn't care about burning Yun Chujio, an orphan, to death, the village chief was still registered by the higher-ups. If he really died, there would be trouble. Now that the truth was out, the villagers were a little embarrassed. Carpenter Liu took the lead and said, "Eldest niece, it's all thanks to you this time. We were bewitched before. I'm really sorry." With someone taking the lead, the other villagers also said, "Yes, we wronged you. I didn't expect Lu Wangkai to be such a heartless person. As the village chief, he actually did so many wicked things." Yun Chujio thought to herself, "Calling me my niece isn't enough. I have to call her a fairy. What should I do?" Yun Chujio rolled her eyes and came up with an idea. This guy started to tremble violently and began to sing the divine song again. Although it was in broad daylight, the villagers were still scared stiff. Just when they were at a loss, they heard Yun Chujio say in an ethereal voice, "In order to help you punish the wicked, I leaked the secrets of heaven. The heavenly court is about to send down the heavenly punishment. This heavenly punishment is even more severe than last night. Hurry up and pray for me so that I can avoid this heavenly punishment." This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. Carpenter Liu trembled as he asked, "Eldest niece, no, Dragon Lady, how should we pray for blessings? Don't mention the name Dragon Lady again, lest it brings more trouble. Kneel down and say, Little Ninth Fairy, peerless beauty, kind-hearted, snow-white intelligence, beautiful appearance and wisdom, Little Fairy Gio, we can't remember what you said. Then say it, Little Fairy Gio is peerless, beautiful and city-toppling." Yun Chujio painfully removed the last word. Some villagers asked in puzzlement, "Little Fairy Gio, aren't we praying for you? Shouldn't we say that you save the suffering and save the suffering?" "What do you know?" Saving people from suffering is the Guanyin Bodhisattva. Can I steal her limelight? According to what I said, hurry up, or the heavenly punishment will come. Yun Chujio said impatiently. Although the villagers felt that something was wrong, they did not dare to say anything more. They knelt down and began to say in unison, "Little fairy Jiao, you are peerlessly beautiful and can topple kingdoms and cities." Before Yun Chujio could show off, she felt a white light flash in front of her eyes. When she opened her eyes again, she was already in the deep sea. Yun Chujio quickly activated the water repellent bead, then she cursed, "Damn Qi Ling. Will you die if you bring me here later? It was not easy for me to enjoy the worship of a person, and you messed it up for me, you damn Qi Ling." The Qi Ling in the corner was even angrier than Yun Chujio. She banged her head against the wall. "This Qi Ling is so angry. This Qi Ling is so angry. This stinky girl actually passed the test so quickly. Are those people pigs? Last night he even burned her to death. Why did he call her a fairy so quickly? What kind of bullshit was this peerless beauty that could topple the country and cities? Damn girl, don't think that just because you've passed the first stage, you'll definitely die in the second stage. Moreover, you'll only get 1,000 points after passing the first stage. Your points are still very, very low." At the same time, the people outside the Hall of Heaven's Pride discovered that Yun Chujio's points had changed from -1 trillion to -1 trillion plus 1,000. Everyone was dumbfounded. Could this display screen not calculate? -1 trillion plus 1,000? Were they asking us to count it ourselves? Of course, everyone did not have the time to count it. After all, Yun Chujio's result was the lowest in history. Yun Chujio, who was being ridiculed by everyone, was currently looking around in the sea. She floated to the surface of the sea to take a look. She could not see the edge of the vast sea and did not see any demonic beasts coming over. This fellow simply took out a large ship from his storage ring. After jumping onto the deck, he began to eat hot pot. When the Qi Ling saw this, he was so angry that he almost fainted. Pervert! This pervert! Not only did he have water-repellent beads, but he also had a ship. Moreover, you are here to challenge the rankings, okay? You actually ate hot pot leisurely? You are a great insult to this Qi Ling. Qi Ling rolled her eyes and formed a seal with her hands. A strong wind started to blow on the surface of the sea. Yun Chujio didn't even need to eat hot pot. The entire ship was overturned by the huge wind and waves. Yun Chujio put the ship into her storage ring and sank to the bottom of the sea. No matter how strong the wind and waves were, they wouldn't affect the bottom of the sea. Yun Chujio swam slowly on the bottom of the sea. She believed that Qi Ling would definitely do something. She just didn't know what kind of demon beast she was facing this time, no matter what kind of demon beast it was. With the spirit energy piglet and the purple lightning in her hands, she would kill any one of them. She would kill every single one of them. Qi Ling saw Yun Chujio sink to the bottom of the sea and sneered, "Little brat, so what if you have the water-repellent bead? You will not be able to complete this mission." While Yun Chujio was leisurely strolling on the bottom of the sea, Qi Ling's voice rang in her mind again, "Little brat, your mission this time is to make all the sea beasts in this area submit to you. Even if one of them doesn't listen to you, your mission will not be considered complete. Qi Ling, if you have the ability, come at me. I promise I won't beat you to death." Yun Chujio gritted her teeth and said, "This Qi Ling was really too evil. Every time she gave out a mission, it would make people break down." When the Qi Ling heard Yun Chujio's words, she said proudly, "Stupid girl, it's useless to say this. Soon, you will be bitten to death by the sea beasts, and then you will be sent out. Qi Ling, I am kind enough to tell you that your current points are -1 trillion plus 1,000. It's still the lowest in history." Yun Chujio rolled her eyes. Damn it, the angrier I am, the more arrogant that Qi Ling is. He wants to fight with me? I will torture you to death. Stupid Qi Ling, I was just teasing you. Your mission is too simple. Not to mention me, even a 3-year-old child can do it. I even suspect that you are a brainless Qi Ling. You are so stupid. A dead duck with a stubborn mouth. Let's wait and see. The tool spirit said exasperatedly. Just as Yun Chujio was about to use Qi Ling again, she noticed that the entire sea area had changed. The seabed was covered with seaweed, and all kinds of fish and sea beasts began to appear. The originally quiet sea waters suddenly became noisy. After Yun Chujio returned from the Netherworld continent, she no longer hid her cultivation. Therefore, when the low-level sea beasts saw Yun Chujio, they all consciously avoided her. Yun Chujio thought that if she wanted all the sea beasts to submit to her, the best way would be to find the most powerful sea beast. After taming it, the other sea beasts would naturally submit. However, according to the wicked character of the artifact spirit, the most powerful sea beasts in this sea area would probably be of a high level. Although she had the spirit energy piglet and the small purple needle, when she encountered high-level sea beasts, her chances of winning were not high. What should she do? While Yun Chujio was pondering, she noticed that some low-level sea beasts were still running in all directions. She knew that a high-level sea beast was coming. Yun Chujio took off the spirit-concealing ring on her hand and hid behind a cluster of lush seaweed. This guy was thinking about little Jujio. If it was a sea beast that wasn't too powerful, she would go out. If it was a particularly high-level sea beast, then she would hide. The sea water in the distance began to churn. It could be seen that the sea beast that came must be quite big. Finally, a moment later, a huge creature swam over. This was a 28th level sword-toothed wild whale. It was the biggest sea beast that Yun Chujio had ever seen. This persistent wild whale's body was a few thousand feet long. When it opened its big mouth, many sea beasts that couldn't escape in time were sucked into its mouth. When Yun Chujio saw that it was the saber-toothed whale, she cursed all 18 generations of Qi Ling's ancestors in her heart. Damn it, she was only at the second level of the spiritual venerable realm, and Qi Ling actually created a sea beast that was equivalent to a human cultivator at the 8th level of the spiritual venerable realm. She was afraid that she wouldn't die completely. Although Yun Chujio was abnormal, she wasn't abnormal enough to deal with such a high-level sea beast. She hid behind the seaweed and hugged it tightly to stabilize her body, afraid that the saber-toothed whale would discover her. This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. Yun Chujio's thoughts were pretty good, but the suction force from the whale's mouth was too strong. The seaweed that Yun Chujio was holding was pulled up by the roots, so Yun Chujio was naturally exposed to the whale. Yun Chujio bared her little white teeth at the whale. Big fish, look up. There's a mermaid. Fish did not have a neck, so they naturally could not raise their heads. They could only adjust their bodies so that their heads were facing up. Therefore, the saber-toothed whale turned its huge body and looked up. Naturally, the saber-toothed whale did not see any mermaids. It was instantly enraged. It was the overlord of this sea area. How dare someone lie to it? They were simply courting death. However, when the saber-toothed wild whale turned its huge body around, it discovered that the human girl had disappeared. The saber-toothed wild whale was so angry that it pulled out all the seaweed, but it still could not find Yun Chujio. The saber-toothed wild whale could only swim away in anger. After a while, Yun Chujio crawled out from an abandoned mussel shell with a big pearl in her hand. TSK, blessed people don't need to be busy. I even made a small fortune by hiding a cat. However, this thing should be an illusion. It's probably useless in this situation, Yun Chujio said. However, this greedy person still put the pearl into his storage ring. He didn't care about the long term, he only cared about having it in the past. Yun Chujio was afraid that the saber-toothed wild whale would turn around and attack her, so she quickly swam in the opposite direction. However, even with the water-repellent pearl, Yun Chujio's swimming speed wasn't fast. This person was extremely frustrated. It seemed that she should take in an aquatic spiritual pet in the future, so that she could have a mount when she was in the water. When this person thought of this, her eyes lit up. Wasn't there a song that sang well? There was no food, no clothes, and the enemy would come forward. She could just get a temporary mount? Just as Yun Chujio was thinking, she saw the water in front of her churning. Although it couldn't be compared to the saber-toothed wild whale, it made a lot of noise. It should be a high-level sea beast. Yun Chujio still took off her spirit-concealing ring and hid behind a patch of seaweed, carefully looking out. Yun Chujio was happy when she saw the sea beast swimming over. It was a 26-level golden-backed long-necked turtle. It was much more comfortable as a mount than the fish and could even sunbathe on the surface of the sea. It was really an ideal mount. She didn't consider it at all. Her spiritual power was 2 levels lower than the golden-backed long-necked turtle. This guy had a mysterious confidence most of the time. Yun Chujio jumped out from behind the seaweed and said with a smile, "Hey, little bastard, I've been waiting for you for a long time." The golden-backed long-necked turtle was confused. What kind of person was this little human girl in front of it? Shouldn't normal people be very afraid when they saw it? Why did this little human girl look so excited? "Little bastard, although I can kill you with my little finger, my biggest advantage is that I'm kind-hearted. As long as you obediently become my mount, I'll spare you. Otherwise, I'll rip off your bastard shell and bleed you." Yun Chujio said fiercely with a big kitchen knife in her hand. The golden-backed long-necked turtle was both angry and amused. A little human girl without spiritual power actually dared to make a fuss with it? And she wanted this turtle to be her mount? Was this little girl crazy? This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. The golden-backed long-necked turtle opened its bloody mouth towards Yun Chujio, ready to eat her up. "Io, you little bastard, you really want to do this the hard way. Looks like I have to teach you a lesson. Cute little piggy." Yun Chujio released a little piggy of spiritual power. The little piggy of spiritual power slowly flapped its 4 short legs. It didn't look like it was going to attack the golden-backed long-necked turtle, but rather, it looked like it was playing. The golden-backed long-necked turtle pursed its lips. Weren't all human spirit beasts very powerful? This human little girl's spirit beast was actually a pig? And a piglet? How could such a weak spirit beast have the nerve to release it? A piglet is really too lonely. "Come, little babies, come out." The golden-backed long-necked turtle was dumbfounded when it saw one after another spirit piglets appear in front of its eyes. This spirit piglet was obviously a high-level physical transformation technique. How could this human little girl release so many of them? Just as the golden-backed long-necked turtle was dumbfounded, all the spirit energy piglets suddenly sped up and rushed toward it. Although the golden-backed long-necked turtle was shocked, it felt that the piglet's attack power was definitely not that great, so it lazily spat out a few water arrows at the spirit energy piglets. Then, a scene that it would never forget for the rest of its life happened. Those spiritual energy piglets actually held the water arrows and began to gnaw on them. After gnawing on the water arrows, the spiritual energy piglet's body became even more solid, and its speed became even faster. It rushed towards the golden-backed long-necked turtle. The golden-backed long-necked turtle was so scared that it quickly hid its head inside its shell. This was its trump card. Its shell was extremely hard. Ordinary sea beasts would not be able to bite through its shell. The little piglet pounced on the shell of the golden-backed long-necked turtle and bit it for a while. As expected, it did not have any effect. When the time was up, the little piglet of spiritual power dissipated. The golden-backed long-necked turtle was very proud. It stuck its head out again and spat a few water arrows at Yun Chujio. Yun Chujio said while dodging, "Little bastard, do you think that I can't do anything when you hide in the shell? I'm just being soft-hearted. Look at what I'm doing." Yun Chujio shot several purple lightning bolts at the golden-backed long-necked turtle. The golden-backed long-necked turtle felt that its worldview had been refreshed. What the hell was this? Although the golden-backed long-necked turtle did not know what was special about the purple lightning bolts, it was afraid that it would be hit again, so it quickly dodged to the side. Unexpectedly, the purple lightning bolts actually turned a corner and chased after it. The golden-backed long-necked turtle hurriedly shot out water arrows to hit the purple lightning bolts. Although some of them were hit, there were still a few small lightning bolts that escaped the net and swam toward the back of the golden-backed long-necked turtle. After a few explosions, the golden-backed long-necked turtle rolled in the water in pain. Yun Chujio hugged her shoulders and sneered, "Little bastard, have you seen how powerful I am? I was merciful just now, or else your anus would have exploded completely. If you know what's good for you, then obediently establish a temporary contract with me, or else I will make your anus crippled and wound you all over the ground. The golden-backed long-necked turtle rolled its bean-like eyes and hesitated in its heart. Although Yun Chujia's purple lightning was a little strange, the golden-backed long-necked turtle only needed to protect its rear end, and it would not be at a disadvantage for a while. Yun Chujio smiled and took out a porcelain bottle from her storage ring. Little bastard, I won't use you for nothing. As long as you agree to be my temporary mount, I'll give you a bottle of high-quality pills to stop bleeding when the mission is completed. Are you going to do this deal or not? This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. Yun Chujio was absolutely confident that the golden-backed long-necked turtle would agree to her conditions. This was because this fellow had fooled countless demon beasts, and knew that the stick-and-sweet date method was always effective. As expected, the golden-backed long-necked turtle was terrified. Firstly, it indeed felt that Yun Chujio was somewhat difficult to deal with. Secondly, the pill to stop the bleeding was too attractive to it, especially now that it was still bleeding. The golden-backed long-necked turtle took the initiative to establish a spiritual connection with Yun Chujio. Yun Chujio formed a seal with both hands and established a temporary contract with it. Here, eat a few pills first. Yun Chujio fed the golden-backed long-necked turtle a few transcendent-grade blood coagulation pills. The golden-backed long-necked turtle did not expect that Yun Chujio would actually give the pills in advance. Its heart was strangely moved. This little girl was not bad. Just as the golden-backed long-necked turtle was moved, it heard Yun Chujio say, "Isn't there a saber-toothed savage whale in this sea area? Let's go and kill it." The golden-backed long-necked turtle almost fainted from fright. It hurriedly used its spiritual sense to say, "Little fairy, that saber-toothed savage whale is a level 28 sea beast. The two of us together are not its match. If we go there, we are courting death." "Are you stupid? Did I say that only the two of us will go?" Yun Chujio sat on the back of the golden-backed long-necked turtle and pouted. The golden-backed long-necked turtle was dumbfounded. "Little fairy, didn't you say that we should go and kill it? Besides, there's no one else besides you and me, right? Let's go and recruit some soldiers and horses right now. The two of us can't kill it, and we can't kill it even if we find a group of sea beasts. Once it dies, you might become the new leader. Think about it, isn't it great?" Yun Chujio began to draw a picture. The golden-backed long-necked turtle was excited for a while, then it said dejectedly, "Little fairy, to be honest, of course I want to kill that saber-toothed wild whale because it's too overbearing. There were a few times when I was almost eaten by it, but will the other sea beasts help us? You're really stupid to say that you're stupid. Think about how you were contracted by me. With this, we can contract more sea beasts. At that time, I will be the queen of the sea, and you will be Prime Minister Turtle." Yun Chujio said proudly with her hands on her waist. "Prime Minister Turtle?" The golden-backed long-necked turtle felt that this title was very cool. What the little girl said made sense. Since she could contract it, she could contract other sea beasts. Moreover, she had it to help her. In this way, she would be able to recruit many sea beasts very quickly. At that time, she would be able to kill the saber-toothed wild whale. At that time, she would be able to take up the position of Prime Minister of the Turtle. Just thinking about it was very beautiful. "Master, I know where there are sea beasts of the same level as me. Let's set off now." The golden-backed long-necked turtle said impatiently. Yun Chujio nodded. The man and the turtle began to recruit soldiers and horses. An hour later, the golden-backed turtle brought Yun Chujio to a giant-toothed gray elephant. The giant-toothed gray elephant saw the golden-backed turtle carrying a little human girl and couldn't help but feel puzzled. This old bastard was contracted by a human? Strange, that little human girl didn't seem to have any spiritual power. How could she have contracted the old bastard? "Hey, little bucktooth, I see that your bones are strange and your front teeth are not bad. How about you follow us?" Yun Chujio said with a smile. If it weren't for the fact that the giant-toothed gray walrus was afraid that Yun Chujio had taken the golden-backed long-necked turtle, it would definitely spray her with sea flower dew. What nonsense was that? You are the bucktooth, your whole family is the bucktooth. Yun Chujio saw that the giant-toothed gray walrus did not have any reaction and continued to say, "Little bucktooth, we are going to do something big. Saber-toothed savage whale, you know about it, right? I heard that it often bullies high-level sea beasts like you. Are you willing to be bullied by it?" The giant-toothed gray walrus recalled that it had been chased and killed by the saber-toothed savage whale several times, and its eyes could not help but flash with resentment. After Yun Chujio caught a glimpse of it, she felt a little more confident. Then she said, "As you can see, the little bastard has already cooperated with me. In the future, after killing the saber-toothed wild whale, I will be the queen of the sea, and it will be Prime Minister Turtle. If you cooperate with us, I will make you a walrus general. What do you think?" Although the giant-toothed gray elephant thought that the walrus general sounded rather awe-inspiring, when it thought of killing the saber-toothed wild whale, it felt that it was simply courting death, so it did not express its opinion. "Little bucktooth, do you think that we are striking a rock with an egg? It's a big mistake. Although the three of us might not be able to kill it, I will continue to recruit troops. I don't believe that we, a few dozen high-level sea beasts, won't be able to kill it. As long as we kill it, not only will you be able to share its meat, but its inner core will also be equally divided. When that time comes, your spiritual power will definitely have a leap. Besides, don't you want to add glory to your walrus clan? Walrus General, how awe-inspiring is this title? At that time, as long as you are in this sea area, you will be below one person, above all beasts. How awesome! Right, as long as you kill that saber-toothed wild whale, I will reward you with a bottle of medicine to stop bleeding. The effect is awesome. If you don't believe me, you can ask my Prime Minister Turtle. It has just eaten it." Yun Chujio revealed a wolf grandmother's smile and said with a smile. When the giant-toothed gray elephant heard this, it indeed looked at the golden-backed long-necked turtle. The shell of the golden-backed long-necked turtle almost turned red from embarrassment. "Little fairy, is it really good for you to expose his privacy like this?" The giant-toothed gray elephant was completely fooled by Yun Chujio's 360-degree trick. In a daze, it established a spiritual connection with Yun Chujio. By the time it reacted, it had already established a temporary contract with Yun Chujio. "Very good. Now I have a Prime Minister Turtle and a Walrus General. Let's keep up the good work and take in another 36 protectors. Then we can launch a general attack. Let's go!" Yun Chujio said valiantly as she sat on the turtle shell. The newly appointed Prime Minister Turtle and Walrus General were also on steroids. They thought of a beautiful blueprint and willingly followed Yun Chujio to start the trick journey. In the next 2 days, Yun Chujio's recruitment went very smoothly. If she could deceive, she would deceive. If she could not deceive, she would directly convince. Yun Chujio quickly gathered 36 protectors. This guy was playing tricks. He took out the big red cloth from his storage ring and used yellow silk threads to embroider a few crooked words, "Little 9 Sea Beast Army." Yun Chujio waved the freshly made military flag. "Little ones, follow me. Our chance to dominate the sea is here." The pure sea beasts were all excited. They followed Yun Chujio and marched toward the nest of the saber-toothed wild whale. The nest of the saber-toothed wild whale was behind a coral reef. The reason why the saber-toothed wild whale chose that place as its nest was because there was a small fish with a sharp beak that could help the saber-toothed wild whale clean up the residue in its teeth. Yun Chujio could not help but complain. This saber-toothed whale was quite particular about oral hygiene. This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. The low-level sea beasts in the sea area were all shocked. "Emma, what was going on? How could those high-level sea beasts submit to that tiny human?" However, these low-level sea beasts didn't dare to go forward and seek death. Fortunately, those high-level sea beasts were all excited and wanted to dominate the sea, so they didn't pay attention to these low-level sea beasts. A few hours later, Yun Chujio led the newly made Little Nine Sea Beast army into the territory of the saber-toothed wild whale. Yun Chujio felt that the saber-toothed wild whale was quite good at enjoying life. The scenery of its nest was very pleasant. There were all kinds of colorful coral reefs competing with each other, and some small fish with sharp mouths poked their heads out from the gaps. The sea water churned violently, and the saber-toothed wild whale rushed over angrily. However, when it saw the scene in front of it, it couldn't help but be shocked, angry, and a little afraid. It didn't understand why these high-level sea beasts would unite together. "Hey, little Loach. Your time of death has come. Little ones, go." Yun Chujio stood on the back of the golden-backed long-necked turtle and waved the military flag as she gave the order. The reason why Yun Chujio did not deceive the saber-toothed wild whale was because she felt that this saber-toothed wild whale had always been at the top of the food chain, and it was really difficult to deceive it. Secondly, if the saber-toothed wild whale was contracted, those high-level sea beasts would definitely be dissatisfied. It was really not worth the loss. Therefore, Yun Chujio did not waste time talking to the saber-toothed wild whale and directly ordered the sea beasts to start attacking. The high-level sea beasts had been hunted down by the saber-toothed savage whale many times in the past. Now that they finally had a chance to kill it, they naturally would not let it go. Each and every one of them was as if they had been injected with stimulants as they fought with all their might. Although the saber-toothed savage whale's level was higher than these high-level sea beasts, its fierce tiger was inferior to a pack of wolves. No matter how powerful it was, it could not defeat so many high-level sea beasts. Moreover, there was also a shameless sneak attacker. Yun Chujio secretly shot out a small purple lightning, specifically targeting the vulnerable parts of the scimitar-toothed savage whale's body. When the golden-backed long-necked turtle saw Yun Chujio's mischievous behavior, it could not help but tighten its anus. This little girl was really too mean. Fortunately, it made the right choice, or else it would have died a terrible death. After more than an hour, the miserable scimitar-toothed savage whale was bitten until it was covered in cuts and bruises, and it died. Yun Chujio asked the golden-backed long-necked turtle to take out the inner core of the saber-toothed whale. Then, she divided it into 38 equal portions with a large kitchen knife and gave them to the high-level sea beasts. Yun Chujio pointed at the huge corpse of the saber-toothed whale and said, "Little ones, it's time for you to enjoy the delicacies. Enjoy them to your heart's content." When the high-level sea beasts heard Yun Chujio's words, they immediately rushed over. The meat of the saber-toothed whale was a great tonic for them. Naturally, they couldn't wait for it. The feast lasted for almost half a day. The high-level sea beasts all burped after eating, which made them even more convinced of Yun Chujio. Yun Chujio jumped onto the back of the golden-backed long-necked turtle and said in an awe-inspiring manner, "Are you all full? Then let's hold the coronation ceremony. It just so happens that this emperor will also divide some territory for you." This shameless person directly called himself this emperor. Those high-level sea beasts were also full now. Each and every one of them acted as if they were injected with stimulants. They began to act according to Yun Chujio's instructions. Those low-level sea beasts were really unlucky. They were all chased to the same place by those high-level sea beasts. The low-level sea beasts didn't know what had happened, and they were so scared that they were trembling. Yun Chujio saw that almost all the sea beasts had arrived. Pretentiously, she said to the sea beasts, "Today is the day that I, the Sea Emperor, ascend to the throne. All of you hurry up and kowtow to me. In your hearts, you say Little Nine, the Sea Emperor, is peerless in his magnificence and can topple kingdoms and cities. If I find out that anyone disobeys me, I will kill them and bleed them." Those high-level sea beasts did not need to say anything. Their lives were in Yun Chujio's hands, and they did not dare to disobey. Those low-level sea beasts did not dare to disobey the high-level sea beasts. Hence, all the sea beasts chanted in their hearts at the same time, "Little Jio, Sea Emperor, magnificent and peerless, devastatingly beautiful." Yun Chujio, this fellow, only had one word in her heart, awesome. She was awesome. The Qi Ling of the weapon spirit was jumping. That damned brat. She was too cunning. She had actually taken care of so many sea beasts so quickly, she was simply not human. Qi Ling hugged her head and thought for a long while. The corner of her mouth revealed a cunning smile. Brat, you can take care of the land and sea, but I'll take you up in the air this time. I'll see what you can do. Yun Chujio was enjoying herself with a smug look on her face. A white light flashed in front of her eyes, and when she opened her eyes again, Yun Chujio was a little lost. What was this place? There were dried firewood, dried leaves, and even some bird feathers under her feet. Just as Yun Chujio was puzzled, she heard a chirping sound. She turned around and was shocked. She saw a baby bird of unknown species chirping at her. Although it was a baby bird, its size was almost the same as Yun Chujio's. Fortunately, the baby bird did not seem to know how to walk for a long time, otherwise, it would have come to peck Yun Chujio. Yun Chujio suddenly had a bad premonition. Could it be that she was in the nest now? Just as Yun Chujio was about to call out the chopping board and fly out of the nest, the proud voice of the tool spirit sounded in her mind again. Stupid girl, I have chosen a good place for you this time. Your mission this time is to let the golden-winged vermilion-beaked eagle give its baby bird to you willingly. Qi Ling's voice sounded again. Yun Chujio's heart was like a beeping dog. The mother eagle valued the baby bird more than its life, so how could it give its baby bird to her willingly? Just as Yun Chujio was thinking about it, she heard the Qi Ling continue, "Oh right, you can't use that flying spirit tool of yours. If you use it, you will be judged to have failed the mission. I wish you good luck." Good luck my ass. Yun Chujio felt that Qi Ling had the potential to become a lunatic. What kind of bullshit mission was this? Didn't they say that in the Heaven's Pride Palace, it was all about picking spirit herbs and killing demonic beasts? Why did she encounter such a perverted mission? She must have entered the fake Heaven's Pride Palace. Just as Yun Chujio was cursing Qi Ling in her heart, she heard a few cries from afar. Yun Chujio's heart sank. It was probably the mother eagle that had returned. Yun Chujio wanted to hide, but the baby bird had already discovered her. There was no point in hiding. Yun Chujio's mind spun quickly. Should she kidnap the baby bird to force the mother eagle? The damned weapon spirit had said that she had to be willing. What should she do? Before Yun Chujio could think of anything, the golden-winged vermilion-beaked eagle had already flown to the nest. The golden-winged vermilion-beaked eagle had a two-horned sheep in its mouth. When it saw Yun Chujio, it was also stunned. How did this human little girl come to its nest? However, the golden-winged vermilion-beaked eagle was happy to see this. This human little girl had delicate skin and flesh, and it was perfect for feeding the small eagle. The golden-winged vermilion-beaked eagle threw the two-horned sheep to the side, and its huge beak pecked at Yun Chujio. Yun Chujio pulled her neck and howled. The golden-winged vermilion-beaked eagle was shocked. While it was in a daze, Yun Chujio jumped to the side and said loudly, "Sir Eagle, stop. Stop. I have something to say." The golden-winged vermilion-beaked eagle was stunned. However, it felt that Yun Chujio could not escape from its palm, so it was ready to listen to what she had to say. "Lord Eagle, you have seen it too. I am a good-for-nothing without spiritual power. Aren't you curious how I got here?" The golden-winged vermilion-beaked eagle thought about it. This human little girl did not have spiritual power at all. How did she get here? "Lord Eagle, let me tell you the truth. Your child, this small eagle, will be the overlord of this sky in the future. Her future is limitless." Yun Chujio paused at this point. On one hand, this fellow was trying to whet her appetite. On the other hand, this fellow was trying to figure out an excuse. The golden-winged vermilion-beaked eagle did not know what Yun Chujio was thinking. When it heard Yun Chujio say that the small eagle would be the overlord of a region in the future, as a mother, it was naturally very happy. It called out a few times proudly and then stared at Yun Chujio. It signaled her to continue quickly. "Sir Eagle, although the future of the small eagle is limitless, it is still young. It still needs to learn a lot of things. Other than the various knowledge that you can teach it, it also needs to learn some human military tactics and strategies. Only then can it become a true overlord in the sky. As for me, I am the lucky one who was chosen by Tian Dao. I am the private tutor for the small eagle. Why did Tiandao choose me? Because firstly, I don't have any spiritual power, so I won't be harmful to Small Eagle. Secondly, although I can't cultivate, I'm familiar with all kinds of military tactics, so I'm the best candidate to teach Small Eagle. Yun Chujio said nonsense with her eyes wide open. The golden-winged vermilion-beaked eagle was skeptical. Tiandao helped its child choose a private tutor? Why did this sound so unreliable? Would Tiandao specially help its child choose a human girl to be a private tutor? Master Ing, do you think this matter is somewhat unusual? This is because your child is already unusual. Yun Chujio said until here, looked around and said in a low voice, Master Ing, let me tell you, the bloodline of the Small Eagle has the bloodline of the ancient divine beast, the golden-winged great ROC. The golden-winged vermilion-beaked eagle was stunned when it heard Yun Chujio. Ancient divine beast, the golden-winged great rock? The golden-winged vermilion-beaked eagle immediately became excited. Yun Chujio had hit the jackpot. This golden-winged vermilion-beaked eagle was really a branch of the golden-winged great ROC. Of course, this branch was basically irrelevant. Every demon beast was proud of the bloodline of the divine beast. When the golden-winged vermilion-beaked eagle heard that the Small Eagle had the bloodline of the golden-winged great ROC, it was naturally very excited. It selectively ignored the loophole in Yun Chujio's words. Yun Chujio saw that the golden-winged vermilion eagle's gaze was somewhat relaxed. She immediately continued to say, Lord Eagle, the Small Eagle's background is extraordinary. A trash without spiritual power can't harm it at all. You can keep me to try it for a few days. If you feel that it's not up to standard, then you can eat me. Anyway, I can't run away. The golden-winged vermilion eagle thought for a moment and agreed. Yun Chujio finally heaved a sigh of relief. No matter what, she had managed to stay alive for the time being. However, she had said that she did not have any spiritual power, so naturally, she could not take anything from her storage ring to eat. What about her food for the next few days? She could not eat raw meat, right? This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. The golden-winged vermilion-beaked eagle was feeding the two-horned sheep to the Small Eagle. Although the Small Eagle was only born a few days ago, its appetite was not small. Soon, it ate half of the sheep. The golden-winged vermilion-beaked eagle saw that the Small Eagle had finished eating, so it ate the remaining half of the sheep. However, it was obviously not full, so it prepared to go out to look for food again. Lord Eagle, when you come back, can you bring me some wild fruits or something? I'm not as powerful as you and the Small Eagle. I can't eat raw meat. Yun Chujio said pitifully. The golden-winged vermilion-beaked eagle looked at Yun Chujio with disdain, then it cried out and flew out of the nest. Yun Chujio saw that the golden-winged vermilion-beaked eagle had flown away, so she sat down. The Small Eagle opened its eyes wide and sized up Yun Chujio. Although it was just born a few days ago, it was the cub of a high-level demon beast, so it was quite intelligent. Yun Chujio felt that she had to do something. It was best if it was effective immediately. She had to make the first shot. Small Eagle, your mother feeds you so hard every day. Shouldn't you do something? Yun Chujio said to the Small Eagle. Small Eagle squeaked a few times and then rolled its eyes at Yun Chujio. It was obvious that it looked down on Yun Chujio. Yun Chujio suddenly jumped forward, and the needle in her hand stabbed Small Eagle's body. Small Eagle squeaked in pain. Small Eagle was so angry that its fur blew up, but it couldn't move. It could only look at Yun Chujio and say proudly, "Little thing, I'm warning you. You can't play with me. If you behave well, I won't stab you. Otherwise, I'll stab you into a sieve." The Small Eagle was not willing to be threatened by her. It cried out angrily. Yun Chujio smiled sinisterly. "Even if you tell your mother, she won't believe you. If you don't believe me, you can try." The cry of the Small Eagle became even more furious. Yun Chujio sat cross-legged at the side indifferently and leisurely enjoyed the scenery in the distance. They should be on a cliff. There were forests and grasslands in the distance. The food source should be fine, so the golden-winged vermilion-beak eagle should not eat her because of hunger. Yun Chujio waited for the small eagle to stop screaming before she said, "When your mother returns, just say, 'Mother, you've worked hard.' Just say this. If you don't say it, it'll stab you when your mother leaves." The small eagle glared at Yun Chujio angrily. It had no intention of saying anything. It was determined to complain to its mother and eat this hateful human. For hours later, the golden-winged vermilion-beaked eagle flew back. The golden-winged vermilion-beaked eagle brought back a two-horned sheep. After putting the sheep on the ground, it took out some wild fruits from its storage space and threw them to Yun Chujio. "Thank you, Lord Eagle. Thank you, Lord Eagle." Yun Chujio thanked him flatteringly. At this time, Small Eagle cried out angrily, "Mother, that human used needles to stab the baby." The golden-winged vermilion-beaked eagle was stunned and then scolded angrily, "Nonsense! How could she have such guts? Did you frame her because you heard that she wanted to learn something? You are really too unambitious. Don't eat dinner today." "Mother, she really used needles to stab the baby." Small Eagle was so aggrieved that it was trembling. The golden-winged vermilion-beaked eagle looked suspiciously at Yun Chujio, who was eating wild fruits next to it. It then looked at the aggrieved Small Eagle. "Where did she stab you?" Small Eagle was in deep trouble this time. Yun Chujio only used embroidery needles. Small Eagle was big and had a layer of fur covering it. Therefore, the golden-winged vermilion-beaked eagle could not find any wounds. After checking for a long time, it immediately beat the small eagle with its wings. The small eagle cried out in pain. Then, it saw Yun Chujio's gloating eyes and almost fainted from anger. Although Yun Chujio did not understand what the golden-winged vermilion-beaked eagle and Small Eagle were talking about, when she saw the golden-winged vermilion-beaked eagle take care of Small Eagle, she knew that her plot had succeeded. "A stupid bird fighting with me? Looking for trouble." The golden-winged vermilion-beaked eagle took care of Small Eagle for a while. Small Eagle drooped its head and did not say anything. In its heart, it hated Yun Chujio to death. The golden-winged vermilion-beaked eagle only scared the Small Eagle. At night, it still fed it half a sheep. However, it warned it that if it lied again, it would starve it. The next morning, the golden-winged vermilion-beaked eagle went out to look for prey again. Only Yun Chujio and the Small Eagle were left in the nest. Yun Chujio held the embroidery needle in her hand and waved it at the Small Eagle. "Little thing, your performance yesterday was really bad. You did not say what I asked you to say. Then don't blame me for being rude." Yun Chujio insidiously stabbed the Small Eagle a few more times. This fellow specialized in picking places with a lot of fur. The pain made the Small Eagle cry out in pain. "Little thing, if you still don't say it today, I will stab you 10 more times tomorrow. The pain will kill you," Yun Chujio said insidiously. The Small Eagle was about to explode in anger. When the golden-winged vermilion-beaked eagle returned, it naturally began to complain again. The process was exactly the same as the previous day. The golden-winged vermilion-beaked eagle did not find anything wrong after checking. It beat the Small Eagle again, and it really starved the Small Eagle. Yun Chujio took advantage of the golden-winged vermilion-beaked eagle's carelessness to make a face at the Small Eagle. The Small Eagle almost fainted from anger. On the third day, in order to not be destroyed, the Small Eagle became timid. However, it made up its mind. When it learned how to walk, the first thing it would do was to eat that insidious human. When the golden-winged vermilion-beaked eagle came back from hunting, the Small Eagle followed Yun Chujio's instructions and said, "Mother, you have worked hard." The golden-winged vermilion-beaked eagle was stunned at first, then it hugged the Small Eagle with its wings and cried out. There was joy, relief, and a little sadness in its voice. The Small Eagle did not expect its mother to have such a big reaction after just one sentence. It was stunned for a moment. Yun Chujio saw that the golden-winged vermilion-beaked eagle was so excited and knew that the Small Eagle had said what she had taught it. She let out a sigh of relief in her heart. With this sentence, at least her little life could be saved temporarily. The next day, when the golden-winged vermilion-beaked eagle went out to hunt again, Yun Chujio said to the Small Eagle indifferently, "Little thing, do you want to know why your mother is so excited?" Although the small eagle hated Yun Chujio to death, it wanted to know the reason more, so it nodded. Because your mother feels that her efforts have paid off. Your care made it feel that everything was worth it. Little thing, I really envy you. I don't even know who my mother is, let alone where she is. Yun Chujio sighed and said, her eyes were slightly red. Whether it was in her previous life or this life, she had never met her biological parents. Small Eagle saw that the evil person was even more pitiful than it, and the resentment in its heart lessened a little. Little thing, if you want to make your mother happy, then listen to me. I promise to make your mother happy every day. Yun Chujio began to reveal her foxtail. The simple and stupid small eagle was indeed fooled. It called out arrogantly a few times. If it could make her mother happy, it was fine to listen to this evil person for the time being. Thus, Yun Chujio began to teach birds. Her teaching was very simple. It was nothing more than to make the small eagle care about the golden-winged vermilion-beaked eagle every day, and then often express its determination to become stronger. As a mother, she only cared about these two things. Therefore, the golden-winged vermilion-beaked eagle was very, very satisfied with Yun Chujio. It felt that it was no wonder that this human little girl was chosen by Tian Dao. She really had real talent. Although the progress was very smooth, Yun Chujio was a little anxious. Damn it. The weapon spirit said that he wanted the golden-winged vermilion-beaked eagle to give the small eagle to her willingly. How could he do that? Yun Chujio pondered for a while. Unless the golden-winged vermilion-beaked eagle was about to die, it might be possible to give the small eagle to her on its deathbed. Other than that, there seemed to be no other possibility. However, the golden-winged vermilion-beaked eagle did not seem to be short-lived. What should she do? It was not that this black-hearted person did not think of doing something to kill the golden-winged vermilion-beaked eagle. However, even if she killed the golden-winged vermilion-beaked eagle, it would not willingly give the small eagle to her. Therefore, the golden-winged vermilion-beaked eagle was considered to have saved its life. Small eagle grew very fast. In just a few days, it could walk. It was a black-hearted person with a wicked heart. Although he had learned to walk, he did not show it. On this day, the golden-winged vermilion-beaked eagle went out to hunt. Yun Chujio was sitting there basking in the sun. Small eagle suddenly pecked at Yun Chujio. Fortunately, Yun Chujio did not really have no spiritual power. Otherwise, she would have been pecked to death by Small Eagle. Yun Chujio directly jumped onto Small Eagle's back and poked it with a needle. You black-hearted guy, how dare you play this trick with me? I poke. The small eagle screamed in pain as it struggled. However, it was too weak and had no way to get rid of Yun Chujio. Yun Chujio had not thought of a way to get the golden-winged vermilion-beaked eagle to give the small eagle to her. Now that she was ambushed by the small eagle, she gritted her teeth. Damn it, it seemed like she had to use some extreme methods. Yun Chujio took out a pill from her storage ring and forcefully fed it to the small eagle. Then, she said sinisterly, "Little thing, what I fed you is a good thing. If you don't have my antidote, you will die. And your mother will not suspect me at all. So, you tell your mother that you had a dream. Unless your mother gives you to me, you will die." The small eagle was so angry that it was trembling. However, it could not defeat Yun Chujio. It made up its mind that when the golden-winged vermilion-beaked eagle returned, it would report this sinister human to death. When the golden-winged vermilion-beaked eagle returned, the small eagle immediately complained angrily, "Mother, that little girl fed the baby poison. She threatened me that if I didn't let you give the baby to her, she would poison the baby to death." The golden-winged vermilion-beaked eagle was skeptical. Before it could react, it heard Yun Chujio clapping her hands and said, "Master Eagle, look. Small eagle can walk. This trick of mine worked. I used a mud ball to trick it into saying that it was poison, but it actually walked when it got excited. The bloodline of the golden-winged great ROC is indeed extraordinary." The golden-winged vermilion-beaked eagle then realized that the small eagle could really walk. Immediately, it began to chirp happily. Small eagle said angrily, "Mother, I have always been able to walk. Don't listen to her nonsense. She just doesn't have good intentions. She wants to poison me to death. The golden-winged vermilion-beaked eagle's wing landed on small eagle's body. She's doing this for your own good. If it wasn't for her infuriating you, would you be able to learn how to walk so quickly? How would a person without spiritual power like her dare to hurt you? If you lie again, don't eat dinner. Small eagle was hopping mad, but golden-winged vermilion-beak eagle was very happy. Its child was indeed the bloodline of golden-winged great rocks. It was only a few days old and it was already jumping. Its future was limitless. This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. In the afternoon, the golden-winged vermilion-beak eagle went out to hunt again. Yunchujio was holding a needle in her hand. She said with a sinister smile, "Little thing, do you know how to describe your current state? It's all about you." Ha! Small eagle was so angry that all its fur stood up. It really didn't understand why its mother didn't believe it and instead trusted this sinister human. "Little thing, are you very confused? Why did your mother choose to believe me and not you?" "It's very simple, because I can tell at a glance that you are a good person, and you can tell at a glance that you are not a good person." Ha! The black-hearted Yunchujio felt that it was too fun to make Small Eagle jump around in anger. Small Eagle was indeed jumping around in anger, but it did not dare to move forward anymore. It knew that it could not beat Yunchujio. "Little thing, I was lying to your mother. I fed you poison. Don't you feel a slight pain in your stomach? To tell you the truth, my poison is slow-acting. It only hurts a little at the beginning, and then it will become more painful. In the end, your intestines will rot, but it cannot be seen from the outside." Yunchujio smiled like a little devil again. Hearing Yunchujio's words, Small Eagle indeed felt a faint pain in its stomach. When it thought of how Yunchujio said that its intestines would rot in the end, it immediately cried out in fear. "Little thing, the only one who can save you now is me. If you don't believe me, you can tell your mother. Your mother will definitely think that you are lying. If you don't believe me, you can try." Yunchujio hugged her shoulders. She shook her calves and said proudly. Small Eagle felt that it was most likely the most unlucky Small Eagle. Why did the baby meet such a bastard? Why did the baby's mother not believe the baby? Woo-woo, the baby was going to be poisoned to death. When the golden-winged vermilion-beaked eagle returned, Small Eagle threw itself into its arms and cried, "Mother, mother, that insidious human fed the baby poison. The baby's stomach hurts. In the end, the baby's intestines will rot." The golden-winged vermilion-beaked eagle examined the Small Eagle. Although demonic beasts did not have the medical skills of humans, it was still possible to tell if they were poisoned. This was because after being poisoned, their eyes, tongue, and skin would change color. After the golden-winged vermilion-beaked eagle finished its examination, a wing landed on the Small Eagle's body again. "You useless thing. Your father died early. Is it easy for mother to raise you? You are actually so unambitious. You actually slandered your husband because you don't want to learn anything. This is really infuriating." Small Eagle saw that the golden-winged vermilion-beaked eagle was so angry and didn't dare to say anything more. However, it felt that its stomach hurt even more. It felt that the entire eagle's life was hopeless. The next day, when the golden-winged vermilion-beaked eagle went out to hunt again, Sinister Little 9 came online again. "Little thing, did you see that? Your mother wouldn't believe you. Actually, it's not that your mother doesn't love you, nor is it that you're too stupid. It's mainly because I'm too smart. Too sinister. Ha." This fellow was probably the only one who would use sinister as a compliment. Small Eagle drooped its head and did not say a word. It knew that it was not Yunchujio's match at all. "Little thing, if you don't want to rot your intestines, then follow what I've taught you. Otherwise, when the time comes, you'll be miserable." Small Eagle was just a newborn baby bird. Immediately, its psychological defense broke down. It kept wailing. It was really sad to hear it, but it would cry. Yunchujio took out a spirit fruit from her storage ring and stuffed it into the Small Eagle's mouth. The Small Eagle was instantly mesmerized by the sweet taste. This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, Please visit for more content. Although the golden-winged vermilion-beak eagle usually picked some fruits, they were all ordinary wild fruits. How could they be as delicious as this spirit fruit? Small Eagle immediately felt that this spirit fruit was the most delicious thing in the world. Little thing, as long as you follow what I taught you, not only will you not have to rot your intestines, but there will also be delicious fruits. Think about what you want to do. Small Eagle hesitated and struggled for a while. In the end, its survival instinct took the upper hand and it cowered. Chujio could not help but twitch her lips. She remembered to eat but not to hit. It was really easy to trick her. There was simply no sense of accomplishment. The next morning, Small Eagle trembled and said to the golden-winged vermilion-beaked eagle, "Mother, mother, save me. I had a dream last night. An old immortal told me that unless you give me to that human, I will die." "What nonsense are you talking about?" The golden-winged vermilion-beaked eagle felt that Small Eagle was playing tricks again. It had never heard of other people's babies being so evil. Could it be that my child has the bloodline of the golden-winged great rock? "Mother, what the baby said is true. The old immortal said that because I have the bloodline of the golden-winged great ROC, there will be many disasters in the future. Only by recognizing this human as the master can we eliminate the disasters. This is because this human is too useless. It can balance my bloodline." Small Eagle told it what Chujio told it. The golden-winged vermilion-beaked eagle did not believe it at all. "Okay, how can you take what happened in the dream seriously? Stay at home. I will try to get you a deer today." After the golden-winged vermilion-beaked eagle flew away, Small Eagle squeaked a few times. Although Chujio did not understand it. However, she guessed correctly. "Does your mother not believe you? This is very easy to handle. From today onwards, you will start to pretend to be sick. If you have nothing to do, you will say some nonsense and your mother will believe you." This time, Chujio did not poke the Small Eagle with a needle. Instead, she took out some roasted meat and fed it to the Small Eagle. The Small Eagle was so touched that it almost cried. Oh my God, the little devil had finally found his conscience. In the next few days, the Small Eagle followed Chujio's instructions and shouted, "Ah, Mother, my head hurts. There's a monster trying to kill me. Mother, I'm dying. There's a monster trying to eat me. I can't live anymore. Mother, you have to take care." At the same time, the Small Eagle would tremble and roll its eyes. This scared the golden-winged vermilion-beak eagle. Could it be that what its child said was true? That's right. Its child usually hated that little girl the most. If it wasn't really dreaming, why would it say that it recognized that little girl as its master? However, its child, the magnificent golden-winged vermilion-beak eagle, recognized a little girl without spiritual power as its master. This was really too cowardly. Just as the golden-winged vermilion-beak eagle was hesitating, the Small Eagle began to tremble again. "Mother, my stomach hurts so much. Mother, quickly save me." The golden-winged vermilion-beak eagle gritted its teeth and said to the Small Eagle, "All right. Since that's the case, just acknowledge that little girl as your master. At most, you can raise her in this nest from now on." The Small Eagle immediately stopped trembling and called out to Chujio a few times, showing off that it had succeeded. Chujio could not help but twitch the corner of her eyes. This silly child really had the ability to trick her mother. The golden-winged vermilion-beak eagle chirped a few times at Chujio. Chujio pretended to be puzzled. "Lord Eagle, what do you mean by this?" The golden-winged vermilion-beaked eagle had no choice but to push the Small Eagle in front of Chujio and chirp a few more times. Chujio blinked her eyes in confusion and asked in surprise, "Sir Eagle, are you going to give the Small Eagle to me?" Small Eagle, who was at the side, saw Chujio acting dumb and was so angry that he rolled his eyes. However, the golden-winged vermilion-beaked eagle misunderstood and thought that Small Eagle was sick again. He nodded to Chujio anxiously and then chirped. Chujio finally looked like she had a sudden realization. She slapped her thigh and said, "No wonder I have been dreaming for the past few days. I dreamed that an old immortal asked me to take in the small eagle. The old immortal even asked me to take good care of the small eagle. When the golden-winged vermilion-beak eagle heard Yunchuji's words, it believed that there was a dream. It used its wings to push the small eagle toward Yunchujio. Yunchujio was about to take the opportunity to form a contract with the small eagle when a white light flashed before her eyes. The scene in front of her changed. At this moment, it had been half a month since Yunchujio entered the prodigy role. At first, there were still many people who came to watch. Later, only Feng Ming and Jinji came to check on her when they had the time. At first, Jinji was very worried about Yunchuji's safety. However, after being brainwashed by Feng Ming and the other two, she became numb to it. They were right. Little Jiao, that monster, would be fine. Everything in the Tianyuan Institute was as usual. There was no difference because of the lack of a bad news bag. On this morning, Dean Huangfu was in the study dealing with some matters. The door of the study was knocked open. Dean Huangfu was shocked. He looked up and saw that it was the dried-up old man who had barged in. However, the dried-up old man's expression was very grave. He was also very anxious. Old man Jiang? Old man Jiang, is there something wrong? Dean Huangfu stood up. He knew that old man Jiang was not someone who would act rashly. Something must have happened. My enemy has been found. I must leave this place immediately to avoid implicating you. When little Nine comes out, you must keep your mouth shut. Just say that I went wandering and don't let her find me. She isn't a match for those people yet. The dry old man hurriedly said a few words, then turned around and rushed out. In a few leaps, he disappeared without a trace. Before Dean Huangfu could react, he heard the sound of a fight coming from afar. His heart tightened, and he hurriedly rushed over to where the fight had happened. When Dean Huangfu rushed over, he discovered that the dried-up old man was fighting with a middle-aged man. The middle-aged man was dressed in a black robe. The cuffs and edges of the black robe were embroidered with golden threads. Dean Huangfu's heart tightened. Those golden threads were spat out by a type of 9 mysterious heavenly silkworm, and they were very rare. Where did this person come from? What made Dean Huangfu even more alarmed was that he could not see through the cultivation level of the black-clothed man at all. Moreover, it seemed that he was only higher than the dried-up old man and not lower than him. Most importantly, there were still 20 people standing not far away. If Dean Huangfu could not see through their cultivation level, it meant that the cultivation level of these 5 people was above Dean Huangfu's. Dean Huangfu naturally would not just stand there and watch. He shouted sternly, "Stop! Who are you people? How dare you make a move in the Tianyuan Academy?" Before Dean Huangfu could finish his words, a person standing behind him moved and struck out a palm towards Dean Huangfu. Dean Huangfu hurriedly dodged. Although Dean Huangfu dodged this move, his heart was shaken. This person's spirit energy was too profound. He probably could not even take 10 moves. When did so many mighty figures appear in the Tianyuan continent? When the old man saw that the man had attacked Dean Huangfu, he faked a move and jumped to the side. He said to the middle-aged man, "Fanjin, this is a grudge between us and it has nothing to do with anyone else. Tell your men to stop." The middle-aged man smiled coldly. "Jiang Yizhou, I didn't think that you were really still alive. I thought that you were already dead. However, it seems that your life isn't that great after all. We are of the same age, yet you have grown so old. Tiske, what a joke. Fanjin, cut the crap. You are just looking for me to seek revenge. Let's go somewhere else and fight to the death." The reason why the old man said that was to lure these people away so that they would not implicate the people from the Tianyuan Academy. At that moment, many people from the Tianyuan Academy had gathered around and they were all glaring angrily at Fanjin and the others. Unexpectedly, the middle-aged man snorted coldly and said, "Since these people are hiding you, then these people must die." The old man's eyes were bloodshot as he said, "Fanjin, you are going against the law. Aren't you afraid of being punished by the heavens?" The middle-aged man was Fanjin and he curled his lips. "You have reminded me that these people are just ants. It's not worth it to kill them and get struck by lightning. However, it's not bad to cripple their dantian and chop off their limbs. The old man clenched his fists and gritted his teeth. As long as you don't hurt them, it'll be at your disposal. Jiang Yizhou, do you think you're still the original Jiang family head? What right do you have to bargain with me? If they want to blame you, then blame it on your relationship with them. It's their bad luck. Fan Zhen waved his hand. He signaled for the people behind him to make a move. Fan Zhen, you are really going too far. If you continue to force me, I will self-destruct my dantian. We will fight to the death. The veins on the dry old man's forehead were popping out. This was the situation he had been most worried about. He had not expected it to happen. When Fan Zhen heard that the dry old man was going to self-destruct his dantian, he was indeed a little apprehensive. His eyes flickered. All right, anyway, these people have nothing to do with us. You just have to commit suicide right now and I will spare these people. Dean Huangfu saw that the old man was really going to self-destruct his dantian and hurriedly stopped him. Old man Jiang. Absolutely not. Perhaps there is still a way out of this. The old man laughed bitterly. I cannot implicate all of you just because of me. I have lived for so many years and it is already enough. Although Jinji did not know the old man, she had once heard Yun Chujio bragging that she had a master who was a dry old man, so she shouted, Elder Jiang. Even if you die, they might not really spare us. How can we not defeat these people? At most, we'll just fight it out. When the dry old man heard Jinji's words, he could not help but be stunned. This reminded him, so he said, Fan Zhen, to prevent you from not keeping your word, swear on your inner demon. Fan Zhen laughed coldly. Jiang Yizhou, you are still as stupid as before. Do you think I will let these people go? Brothers, let's play with these ants. Leave the little girl who spoke just now for me, the rest is up to you. When the old man saw this, he was about to self-destruct. He did not expect that the black-robed men would suddenly move and grab a student in each of their hands. Fan Zhen laughed sinisterly and said, Jiang Yizhou, if you self-destruct, we might not be killed by the explosion. But these people will be killed by you. This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. While the old man was still in a daze, Fan Zhen threw a palm strike at him. The old man had no choice but to fight with him once again. After the other black-robed men had severely injured the students in their hands, they charged towards Dean Huangfu and the others. Although Dean Huangfu and the others could be considered among the top experts in the Tianyuan continent, they were completely unable to defend themselves in front of these people. Those students could not even withstand a single blow, and those black-robed men were like wolves entering a flock of sheep. Those people were afraid that after killing someone, they would be punished by the heavens, so they either slapped the person's dantian open, or directly broke the person's limbs, and even tore some of the female students' clothes. In an instant, miserable howls filled the ground, and the Tianyuan Academy instantly turned into hell on earth. The dry old man was filled with regret, hatred, anxiety, and anger. However, he was trapped by Fan Zhen, and had no way to rescue him. He knew that even if he were to commit suicide now, Fan Zhen and the others would not let the people from the Tianyuan Academy off. These people were simply animals. In less than an hour, other than a small number of people who managed to escape, the rest of the people did not have the ability to resist. Fan Zhen also did not have the mood to deal with the old man. With a wave of his hand, a few men dressed in black swarmed over. The old man was caught off guard and one of them slapped his chest, causing him to spit out a mouthful of blood. Fan Zhen laughed sinisterly. Jiang Yizhou, you didn't think that you would still have this day, did you? TSK, the Jiang family's head is now even worse than a dog. How wonderful! The old man spat out a mouthful of blood and roared in grief and indignation. Fan Zhen, there's nothing to say that my skills are inferior to humans, but these people are all innocent. Let them go, or else I won't spare you even if I become a ghost. Fan Zhen curled his lips and laughed sinisterly. Don't worry, I am afraid of the heavenly punishment. I will not kill them. I will just let them have something missing from their bodies. As for those beautiful chicks, I will still dote on them. The people of the Tian Yuan Academy could not help but feel despair. These people's methods were extremely cruel. To fall into their hands was simply a fate worse than death. Fan Zhen, you will die a horrible death. All of you will die a horrible death. The dry old man was so angry that he started cursing. Cut off his tongue. I want to see how he will continue to spout nonsense. Fan Zhen snorted coldly and said to a black-robed man. The black-robed man was holding his sword and was about to cut off the dry old man's tongue when he heard someone say clearly, "Where did this wild dog come from?" It's fine if he barks in the wild, but if he barks in our Tian Yuan Academy, does he not want to live anymore? The people of Tian Yuan Academy were all familiar with this voice. It was Yun Chujio. It was Yun Chujio who had come. Did she come out of the Prodigy Palace? The old man, Dean Huangfu, and the others were burning with anxiety. Silly girl, since you had escaped a disaster, why did you show yourself? Sneaking out could still save your life, but if you came now, wouldn't you be walking into a trap? These people were not like the people from the Netherworld Palace. Their spiritual power was almost at the peak of the 9th level of the spiritual venerable realm. How could a little girl like you be able to deal with them? Fan Zhen heard the shouting and looked up. He saw a large chopping board flying over. On top of it stood a beautiful young girl. Kiki, this little girl is quite good-looking. Since she took the initiative to deliver herself to us, how can we waste her? Little girl, be obedient and I will let you suffer less. Fan Zhen said with a lewd smile. Fuck your Luo Quan. A beast like you, even a so won't take a fancy to you. Yun Chujio stood on the chopping board and cursed with her hands on her hips. Yun Chujio smelled the strong smell of blood the moment she stepped out of the Prodigy Palace. She knew that something big had happened. She could have just left. However, although this fellow had a black heart, he valued his feelings the most. After sending a letter to Infeng, he immediately flew over. Fan Zhen said coldly, "This stinky girl is really stubborn. Fan Jia, go up and get this stinky girl down." Hearing Fan Zhen's orders, a black-robed man rode his sword and charged towards Yun Chujio who was in the air, and attacked Yun Chujio with his spirit energy. Fuck. You're really going to fight. I can't beat you, let's meet again. After Yun Chujio said that, she commanded the chopping board to fly away. That black-robed man Fan Jia was stunned. Fan Zhen was stunned. The people from the Tian Yuan Academy were all stunned. What the hell? Weren't you just indignant and righteous just a moment ago? Why did you suddenly change your style and run away in such a short time? Could it be that her eyesight wasn't very good, and she didn't notice that these black-clothed men's spiritual power was superb at the beginning, but now that she noticed it, she ran away? Fan Jia thought the same. He curled his lips contemptuously and rode his sword to chase after her. Unexpectedly, although that little girl was at the 2nd level of the spiritual paragon realm, her speed of escape was extremely fast. Fan Jia chased after her for a long time but still could not catch up. It just so happened that the little girl was circling in the sky above the Tian Yuan Academy. As she escaped, she said, "Io, everyone look quickly. I am walking my dog. This dog is so obedient. It has been chasing after its master all this while." Fan Jia was so angry that he almost fell off his sword. He shouted at the men in black below, "Fan Yi, Fan Bing, help me stop this little girl." The 3 men in black started to surround and intercept Yun Chujio. Yun Chujio had just begun to command the chopping board to fly up and down when she suddenly stopped running. She sighed, "Forget it. I can't run anyway. Come and catch me." Fan Jia and the other 2 men snorted coldly and surrounded her, trying to force Yun Chujio to land. Unexpectedly, just as the 3 men approached Yun Chujio's chopping board suddenly jumped up, then, stack after stack of superior-grade burst talismans were thrown at them. Fan Jia and the other 2 men's spiritual power was much higher than Yun Chujio's. Although they were not on guard, they could still dodge these talismans if they tried their best. However, they felt that since it was a pile of talismans, it must be some worthless explosive talismans. Their high spiritual power explosive talismans did not pose any threat to them, so they did not try their best to dodge, they only managed to dodge a part of it. Loud, explosive sounds were heard one after another, accompanied by the miserable screams of Fan Jia and the other two. Yun Chujio was not idle at this time. She continued to throw talismans at the three of them. Damn it! I'll blow you all to death. I'll make you bully my master. I'll make you bully the headmaster. I'll make you bully Feng Ming and the others. I'll make you bully the beauty Jin Ji. Although Fan Jia and the other two were powerful, they were still flesh and blood after all. How could they withstand the bombardment of so many superior-grade burst talismans? They were blown to bits. No one had expected such a situation. Compared to the people from the Tianyuan Academy, Fan Zhen and the others were even more shocked. What kind of talisman was that little lass using? Was it a sudden rupture talisman? How could she have so many sudden rupture talismans? Could it be that her family was selling talismans? Without waiting for Fan Zhen to give the order, another three people rode on their swords and charged towards Yun Chujio. Damned lass, you're courting death. I'm always looking for things, but I don't know how to seek death. I see that you're all here to seek death. Did you all think that those three people would be lonely and cold when they went underground, so you wanted to accompany them? Although Yun Chujio was very worried in her heart. However, this guy was used to being pretentious, but his face didn't show it at all. Brothers, don't talk nonsense with her. Let's kill her first. One of them said as he attacked Yun Chujio with his spiritual power. The other two also attacked. Yun Chujio quickly commanded the chopping board to fly up and down to dodge. Fortunately, the space in the sky was big enough. Otherwise, Yun Chujio would definitely be hit. However, even so, Yun Chujio could not hold on any longer. The three men in black formed a triangle. It was difficult for Yun Chujio to escape. She tried the same trick again, wanting to use the superior-grade burst talisman to attack the three men again. However, the three men did not fall for the trick after learning from the previous experience. The three men only used their spiritual power to attack and did not approach Yun Chujio at all. They did not give Yun Chujio the chance to use the talisman at all. Yun Chujio was burning with anxiety. It was not a good idea to continue like this. What should she do? Yun Chujio was a little distracted, so she dodged a little slower. One of the people attacked her with his spiritual power. Fortunately, Yun Chujio had a lot of defensive spiritual weapons on her. Dozens of them were broken, and she finally blocked the attack. This guy was in great pain. Damn it, I spent a lot of effort to get this. I'm not done with you. However, this fellow also thought of a way to fly into the fire. Anyway, these were all extorted. Let's just waste them and kill one after another. Thinking of this, Yun Chujio rushed towards one of the people. That person was stunned. Has this little girl gone mad? She came to seek her own death? That person attacked Yun Chujio with a spiritual energy attack. Yun Chujio did not dodge at all and took the spiritual energy attack head-on. The supreme grade sudden rupture talisman in her hand also smashed towards that person. The other two saw the situation and rushed over to pincer attack. Yun Chujio didn't dodge and threw another stack of supreme grade burst talismans at that person just now. That person let out a miserable cry and even his flying sword was blasted into pieces. Of course, Yun Chujio also suffered heavy losses. The defensive spirit tools on her body were shattered into several hundred pieces in an instant. Yun Chujio's pained eyebrows stood up. She turned around and rushed towards the other two people. Bastard! Compensate my spirit tools. I'll blow you all to death. Although Dean Huangfu and the others were feeling heavy-hearted at this moment, the corners of their eyes twitched when they heard Yun Chujio's words. Little Jiao, are you focusing on the wrong thing? At this time, you're still a money grubber? The two men in black in the air were also a little confused when they heard Yun Chujio's lines. However, they knew Yun Chujio's path, so they did not dare to be careless. They attacked Yun Chujio while dodging, not giving Yun Chujio the chance to use the talisman. As they fought, they heard Yun Chujio curse, "Damn it! Why are there only 2 sudden rupture talismans left?" The two men in black were delighted. Although the sudden rupture talismans were powerful, they would only cause a slight injury to them at most. The two men looked at each other and rushed towards Yun Chujio at the same time. Yun Chujio's eyes deepened. Good timing, they really came croaking. When the two of them were less than 10 feet away from Yun Chujio's chopping board suddenly jumped up and threw the superior-grade burst talisman at the two of them. The two men in black thought that it was just a burst talisman, so they did not care. They did not dodge at all, so they were in a tragic situation. How was it 2 pieces? There were more than 200 pieces. After a few explosions, the two men in black were also blasted into pieces. Fan Zhen originally did not take Yun Chujio seriously, but in less than an hour, he actually lost 6 of his men. It was really a great humiliation. Damn girl. I didn't expect you to be so sneaky. Come down quickly and face your death, or I will kill these people. Fan Zhen said coldly. If you want to go down, then go down. I wanted to go down and kill you too. Make way for me and give me a place to land. I don't want to smash you to death. Yun Chujio said with a smile. I don't need you to save me. Get lost. The dry old man roared angrily. He knew that Yun Chujio was simply throwing her life away. Not only did Fan Zhen and the others have superb spiritual powers, they also had hostages in their hands. Yun Chujio had no chance of winning. Fan Zhen curled his lips. These so-called righteous gentlemen always like this trick. That little girl would definitely cry and wail and refuse to leave. Otherwise, wouldn't she be leaving them to die? Unexpectedly, Yun Chujio touched her chin and said, Old man, what you said makes sense. You guys are not related to me. I don't need to put myself in danger just to save you guys. Since that's the case, I'm leaving. You guys can do whatever you want. After Yun Chujio finished speaking, she indeed commanded the chopping board to fly away. Not long after, there was only a black dot left. Fan Zhen. The man in black. Everyone. For a moment, there was a strange silence. Everyone was shocked by Yun Chujio's unconventional behavior. Are you out of your mind? Since you don't want to meddle in other people's business, why didn't you leave just now? Why did you leave now? Could it be that after killing 6 people, you felt good and left? Family head, should we chase after her? A man in black asked Fan Zhen. Fan Zhen was also a little hesitant. He decided not to chase after her. Yun Chujio had killed 6 of their men. He could not let her off so easily. However, he decided to chase after her. That wretched girl was full of tricks. She might even come up with some tricks. Her chopping board was much more flexible than these people's swords. Moreover, he did not know how many sudden rupture talismans she had in her hands. Fan Zhen was filled with regret. He should have used these people to blackmail that wretched girl from the very beginning. He should not have let people go to the heavens to capture her. However, that wretched girl seemed to value money more than these people. Even if he were to blackmail her, she probably would not give in, right? Fan Zhen gritted his teeth. No matter what, the purpose of this trip was to kill Jiang Yizhou. He had to kill him first. As for that wretched girl, he would deal with her when he had the chance in the future. Just as Fan Zhen was about to kill the old man, he saw Yun Chujio flying back. Hey, how about we discuss a business deal? Fan Zhen felt a slight pain in his temples. This wretched lass was most likely out of her mind. Discuss a business deal? Are you crazy? Why would I discuss a business deal with you? Let me tell you the truth. I have long disliked these people from the Tian Yuan Academy. Damn it, a genius like me is actually being ostracized by them. Do you know why I wasn't here just now? Because I violated the school rules and was locked up by them. If it wasn't for you guys coming over, I would still be locked up. These people deserve to die. What you did was simply satisfying. Yun Chujio stood on the chopping board. She clapped her hands and said, Fan Zhen would never have dreamed that Yun Chujio would actually say such a thing. He did not know how to react for a moment. Fan Zhen was still in a daze when he heard Yun Chujio say, If you ask me, you're really too kind. Why are they all still alive? You should kill them one by one. Bleed them one by one. These people all deserve to die. How about this? You kill one person, I'll pay you a high-grade spirit stone, as if I hired you to avenge me. Feng Ming and the other two had followed Yun Chujio for a long time. They immediately understood Yun Chujio's intention and knew that she was stalling for time. Feng Ming immediately cooperated and scolded, "Qian duo. You're really ruthless. Didn't I just reject you? No one would like a ruthless woman like you. You're shameless. It's your fortune that I like you. If it wasn't for your delicate skin and flesh, I would have castrated you long ago." Pooey! Yun Chujio almost laughed out loud. Senior Brother Bird actually knew how to use a fake name. You fickle bitch. All the slightly better-looking men in the academy have been ruined by you. I won't give in even if I die. Feng Ming roared in grief and indignation. Shi Xian, who was at the side, also understood and cursed at Yun Chujio. That's right. A man can be killed but not humiliated. Even if you get our bodies, you can forget about getting our souls. Dean Huangfu, the veteran actor, also began to add drama. Sigh. Qian duo. Qian duo. Originally, I thought that you were still young and although it was immoral, there was still a chance to save you. I didn't expect that you would be so vicious. Now, you actually want to ally with outsiders to kill us. You're really the scum of our Tianyuan Academy. In order to survive, the students of Tianyuan Academy also started to put on their acting skills. Qian duo. You've already possessed me, why aren't you satisfied? 100 days of marriage in one night? You're actually so vicious. Qian duo. Have you forgotten the sweet words you said to me back then? I won't let you off even if I become a ghost. Qian duo. You clearly said that although I am your 36th man, I will be your last man. So it turns out that you have been lying to me all along, you heartless woman. Fan Zhen and the men in black had obviously never encountered such a thing before. For a moment, they could not make heads or tails of it and could not help but start making connections. Qian duo seemed to be a womanizer. She was usually a womanizer. Although many people had submitted to her, there were still some who would rather die than submit. Was she then locked up by the headmaster? Yun Chujio tried hard to hold back her laughter and thought to herself, life is like a play. It all depends on acting. Yun Chujio estimated the time. And Feng and the others should be arriving soon. However, there were still 15 men in black. Even if Feng and the others arrived, they would still not be able to defeat them. Moreover, they still had hostages in their hands. What should they do? Yun Chujio stood on the chopping board and looked around. When she saw the trial tower, she had an idea. I remembered something important. Let's talk about this deal later. I have to go collect the divine weapon first. After Yun Chujio said that, she flew away on the chopping board. When Fan Zhen heard about the divine weapon, he immediately revealed a greedy look. Although he felt that something was amiss, he still had the upper hand. Leave 7 people to guard these people. The rest of you follow me. After Fan Zhen said that, he brought 7 people on his sword and chased after Yun Chujio. Yun Chujio turned around and looked. She sneered in her heart. He was really greedy. He actually brought half of his people over. Yun Chujio quickly landed in front of the trial tower. She placed her identity jade token in the groove of the trial tower and did not rush in. She deliberately waited until Fan Zhen and the rest were about to land before she walked in. Fan Zhen waved his hand and the 7 men quickly followed Yun Chujio in. Fan Zhen stood guard outside and he felt that there was no risk. After Yun Chujio entered the trial tower, she was directly teleported to a grassland. In front of her, there was a huge bloodthirsty wolf staring at her. However, when it saw Yun Chujio's spiritual power level, it immediately cowered. Yun Chujio did not have the time to pay attention to it. Instead, she shouted to the sky, "Xiaohei, frog. The 7 people who entered just now definitely can't get out without a jade token. Think of a way to trap them and don't let them break through to the 9th level. When I become powerful in the future, you can release them again. I will bleed them one by one." The weapon spirit of the trial tower wanted to cry but had no tears. It was fine if you gave your baby the nickname of Xiaohei Frog, but why did Baby Mao need to block the heavenly thunder for you? Why did Baby Mao need to help you trap people? Baby's heart was bitter. Baby did not say anything. Blue thin mushroom. After Yun Chujio shouted, she thought about the next countermeasure in her heart. Only then did she take out a jade token. In order to avoid the heavenly thunder, this fellow had prepared quite a few jade tokens in his storage ring. Yun Chujio activated the jade token and was ejected from the trial tower. Fan Zhen was waiting outside the trial tower. He did not expect Yun Chujio to be ejected so quickly. He was a little confused. He was not confused at all. Yun Chujio threw several stacks of superior-grade burst talismans at Fan Zhen. Yun Chujio knew very well that the gap between her and Fan Zhen's spiritual power was too big. She could only have a slim chance of winning if she was caught off guard. Fan Zhen was much smarter than his men. He activated the defensive spiritual weapon on his body while dodging quickly. Moreover, he was on the ground and could move freely. Therefore, even though Yun Chujio threw a lot of burst talismans, Fan Zhen was only slightly injured. Stupid girl! Where are my men? They are helping you find the divine weapon. As long as you get to the 9th level, you will be able to find the divine weapon. Why don't you go in and look for it too? Yun Chujio said with a smile. Fan Zhen snorted coldly. Stupid girl! You must be playing some tricks again. I will catch you right now and see if you are still stubborn. Fan Zhen said as he released a huge python of spirit power towards Yun Chujio. Not only was this huge python of spirit power huge, but it was also quite intelligent. It opened its bloody mouth towards Yun Chujio. Yun Chujio was shocked. This huge python of spirit power was on par with the pretty boy's ice dragon. It was not easy to deal with. Yun Chujio quickly released several spirit power piglets to intercept the spirit power python. When the spirit power python saw that Yun Chujio released a group of cute piglets, it could not help but show a contemptuous look. Fan Zhen, who was standing at the side, could not help but sneer. He did not expect this little girl's spirit power beast to be so weak. However, why did she release so many spirit power beasts? This did not make sense. Although a few of the spirit power piglets had been bitten off by the spirit power python, there were still a few that started to chomp on the spirit power python's body. Fan Zhen was shocked. These spirit power piglets were actually able to devour the spirit power of other spirit power beasts? How was this possible? However, Fan Zhen quickly calmed down because he discovered that although Yun Chujio's spirit power piglets were very abnormal, Yun Chujio's spirit power level was too low, so the spirit power piglets were quickly scattered by the python, and although the spiritual power giant python's figure had become a little lighter, it still charged towards Yun Chujio. Yun Chujio gritted her teeth. It seemed that she could only use her trump card. Yun Chujio released 5 iron puppets. Number 1, Number 2, block the giant python. Number 3, Number 4, Number 5, kill this bastard for me. This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. When Fan Zhen saw the 5 refined iron puppets that Yun Chujio had released, he did not think much of it. The refined iron puppets were only used for defense. They were not as powerful as the sudden rupture talisman, so there was nothing to be afraid of. However, he soon realized that he had made a huge mistake. Not only could these refined iron puppets attack, but they were also very methodical in fighting. How was this possible? How could such a low-level continent like the Tianyuan continent have such a high-level puppet? This little girl was not even 20 years old. Not only did she have a large number of sudden rupture talismans, but she also had such a perverse puppet. Where did she come from? Fan Zhen was caught off guard by the puppets. However, his spiritual power was superb after all. After the initial shock, he found the trick to deal with the refined iron puppets, which was to attack the abdomen of the refined iron puppets. That was because that was where the puppet disc was located. After a quarter of an hour, Yun Chujio and the 5 puppets could not hold on any longer. The puppet discs of the 5 puppets were damaged to varying degrees, and their movements became sluggish. Although Yun Chujio was not injured for the time being by relying on the countless superior-grade burst talismans and defensive spirit tools on her body, there were not many defensive spirit tools left on her body. Although Fanjin had gained the upper hand, he was so angry that he gritted his teeth. How could this wretched girl have so many burst talismans and defensive spirit tools on her? Could it be that she was the daughter of some big family in the Tianyuan continent, and she brought all the good things from her family with her? In fact, Yun Chujio could once again enter the trial tower to hide. However, she estimated that Feng and the others had already arrived, so it would be best if she could stall Fanjin. Another quarter of an hour later, the 5 puppets collapsed on the ground. Yun Chujio's defensive spirit tool had all been shattered, and she could only rely on her superior grade's sudden rupture talisman to barely hold on. Yun Chujio could not help but smile bitterly in her heart. In the face of absolute strength, schemes, tricks, and talisman puppets were all useless. If it really did not work, she could only fly into the air. At the very least, she would have more space to use it. Yun Chujio's thoughts were pretty good. But just as she summoned the chopping board, Fanjin's spirit energy python arrived. It did not give Yun Chujio the chance to jump onto the chopping board at all. Although Yun Chujio still had the little black bird's curse, it was a last resort to save her life. She could not use it lightly, so Yun Chujio could only fight with Fanjin again. Yun Chujio was unable to dodge in time. Her left shoulder was swept by Fanjin's spirit energy, and her clothes were instantly dyed red with blood. Stupid girl! You are not my match at all. I will give you one last chance. If you surrender obediently, I will spare your life. Fanjin was extremely curious about those iron puppets and the sudden rupture talisman, so he planned to capture them alive. Yun Chujio did not bother with him at all, because it was not easy for this fellow to catch his breath. How would he have time to talk nonsense? Fanjin saw that Yun Chujio did not reply and could not help but snort coldly. He stepped up his attack once again. Yun Chujio really could not hold on any longer. Just when this guy was about to let Xiao Hanyo curse him, he heard someone say coldly, "You dare to touch my woman? You're courting death." At the same time, a huge ice dragon pounced towards Fanjin. Fanjin had no choice but to give up on attacking Yun Chujio and use his spirit energy python to block the ice dragon. Yun Chujio took advantage of this moment to leap to the side with all her might and started to pant heavily. This fellow was cursing in his heart. Although the way the pretty boy appeared was a little pretentious, it had to be said that he had arrived just in time. The person who had arrived was Di Baiming. Coincidentally, Di Baiming had heard Feng's report that Yun Chujio had been in the Prodigy Palace for many days and had not come out. Although he was already a little numb, he was still worried and rushed over. He didn't expect that when he was about to reach the Tianyuan Academy, he would receive Feng's report that something had happened to the Tianyuan Academy. Only then did he rush over with all his might. Prince Charming! Kill this bastard! I support you spiritually! Yun Chujio panted as she cheered for Di Baiming. Di Baiming raised his eyebrows slightly. All right. Although Fanjin was a little surprised by Di Baiming's arrival, he did not take Di Baiming seriously. However, when he realized that Di Baiming's ice dragon was actually gaining the upper hand, he could not help but be shocked. There was actually such a strong person in the Tianyuan continent? Didn't they say that the Tianyuan continent was only a low-level continent? Why was that wretched girl so perverted? Was this young man so powerful? Fanjin only then noticed that Di Baiming actually had an ice spirit root. This could also explain why Di Baiming's cultivation base was only at the 8th level of the spiritual venerable realm, but he was on par with him. Di Baiming and Fanjin fought intensely. Fanjin had already used up a lot of spirit energy previously, but Di Baiming was full of spirit energy, so Di Baiming gradually gained the upper hand. At this time, Yun Chujio, this pervert, quickly recovered her strength with the help of Guai Chao. She screamed and rushed up again. Although this guy's spiritual power was not high, his mouth was sharp. He kept saying, "Bastard, what is the point of a scumbag like you living? If I were you, I would have smashed myself to death with tofu. And you still live with your face licked? You are really shameless. What kind of person uses what kind of spiritual beast? My Prince Charming uses an awe-inspiring ice dragon, And you actually use a little loach? How embarrassing. Fanjin was really angry and said angrily, "Stupid girl. My spiritual beast is a giant python. Besides, your spiritual beast is a pig. It's even more useless." What do you know? I'm pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger. Besides, what's wrong with being a pig? I'll sleep after eating. I'm so free. I wish I was a pig. Your men are coming out of the tower. Fanjin subconsciously looked in the direction of the trial tower. At the same time, Xiao Hanyo cursed. Fanjin staggered. In addition, his eyes were looking in the direction of the trial tower, so he gave Di Biming a great opportunity to sneak attack. Di Biming naturally would not let go of such an opportunity. He struck his palm towards Fanjin's front heart. Fanjin knew that he had been tricked when he heard the sound of the wind. However, he staggered and it was too late for him to completely dodge Di Biming's attack. He could only use all his strength to leap to the side. Although Fanjin had dodged the fatal blow, he was still swept by Di Biming's palm wind. He could not help but stagger again. Then he was unlucky. Yun Chujio loved it the most. She was good at backstabbing. She had already calculated the timing and location. Just as Fanjin was about to stagger again, Yun Chujio's little purple needle and the sudden rupture talisman arrived at the same time. Fanjin only saw the sudden rupture talisman but did not see the little purple needle mixed in it. So he was in deep trouble. A little purple needle was shot at his left eye. Along with the sound of explosion, Fanjin let out a shrill scream, "My eye!" Just as Fanjin was screaming in pain, Yun Chujio threw a few more stacks of broken talismans at him. Di Biming's ice dragon also pounced on him ferociously. No matter how high Fanjin's spiritual power was, he was not a match for Di Biming and Little Jio when his left eye was injured. After 15 minutes, Fanjin was dead. Yun Chujio hurriedly put away the 5 puppets and Fanjin's bodies, then followed Di Biming to the battlefield. The battle ahead was going on intensely. And Feng did not bring many dark guards with him, and the remaining 7 people had high spiritual power. And Feng and the others were obviously at a disadvantage. Fortunately, the dry old man had recovered a little after taking a breather just now. He had struggled with all his might to hold on until now. However, almost all of them were wounded, and some of them were on the verge of death. Damn it! You are really courting death. To tell you the truth, your bastard leader has already been killed by me. If you don't want to die, quickly surrender. Yun Chujio's voice came first. When the 7 people heard Yun Chujio's words, they could not help but be shocked. The leader and the 7 brothers had been killed? How was this possible? It must be this stinky girl's nonsense. However, where did the leader and the 7 brothers go? It was probably this stinky girl's trick that lured them to another place. Although the 7 people were puzzled, they did not care too much. Even if the leader and the 7 brothers were lured to another place, the 7 of them were enough to deal with these people. After Yun Chujio and Di Biming joined the battle group, although the situation was slightly better, the situation was still leaning towards the black-robed man's side. This was because Feng and the others were already seriously injured, and their combat strength had been greatly reduced. Yun Chujio knew that now was not the time to hide things. She took out a lot of heaven-grade blood coagulation pills from her storage ring and threw them to Feng and the others. After Feng and the others consumed the pills, their internal injuries and wounds healed quickly, and a part of their combat strength was restored. The battle situation between the 2 sides was very anxious. At this moment, a demonic voice was heard saying, "Fuck! How dare you bully my little sister Jio? You're really courting death. Wawa jiao jiao go." Yun Chujio saw that it was Shui Wuji who came and could not help but be very happy. "Brother Wuji, you came at the right time. Quickly use your spiritual power skull to smash these bastards to death." Shui Wuji raised his hand, and a huge spiritual power skull smashed towards a black-clothed person. That black-clothed person had a dumbfounded expression. Weren't spiritual power materializing into the shape of a beast? How could this red-clothed man materialize into a skull? He actually had a wind spirit root. Although the situation had not fallen into a disadvantageous position, the black-clothed person had an ominous premonition in his heart. These people were really too strange. Although the little girl's spiritual power was not high, she had countless defensive spirit tools and countless sudden cracking talismans. She had also encountered an ice spirit root and a wind spirit root. How could such a strong person appear on such a low-level continent like the Tianyuan continent? With the addition of Shui Wuji and the other two, Yun Chujio had a slight advantage. However, she was not confident in taking down 7 people. The best result would only be to chase 7 people away. At this moment, another person came. The person who came had a cold expression, and there was a trace of gloominess in his eyes. It was Lan Luochen. Although Di Baiming and Shui Wuji did not like Lan Luochen, they were still very happy to see him. With him here, the Tianyuan Academy's side had the complete advantage. Lan Luochen did not say anything and directly joined the battle. At this moment, Di Baiming, Shui Wuji, and Lan Luochen were each dealing with a black-robed man. The dried-up old man and Dean Huangfu were dealing with a black-robed man, while the remaining Dark Wind and the others were working together to deal with the remaining 3 black-robed men. Although the level of the black-robed man's spirit energy was higher than Di Baiming and the others, after all, a lot of spirit energy had been consumed. Hence, Di Baiming and the other 2 had the upper hand. Yun Chujio blinked her eyes. She had to be more strategic. Thus, she said to Shui Wuji, "Brother Wuji, leave this scum to me. You and my Prince Charming will work together and end this quickly." Although Shui Wuji was a Chunibyu, he was very smart. He immediately understood what Yun Chujio meant. After getting rid of his opponent with a feint, he joined hands with Di Baiming to deal with the same black-clothed man. The black-clothed man was about to go forward to rescue him, but Yun Chujio stopped him. "Dregs, let's exchange a few moves," Yun Chujio said with a smile. The black-clothed man snorted coldly. "There are too many people here. You can't use the sudden rupture talisman at all. Your defensive spirit tool has been used up. What other trump cards do you have? You're courting death." "It's not certain who's courting death." Tremble tricks. Yun Chujio threw several small purple needles at the black-clothed man. After the black-clothed man easily dodged, he threw a palm at Yun Chujio. The 2 of them tangled together. Yun Chujio was naturally no match for the man in black, but this guy had helpers. The 3 little ones that had not displayed their skills for a long time were released, especially the Xiao Hanyo. This guy had been waiting for a chance to prove himself. Damn it, it seemed like it did not help its master at all except for curses. That was because the places where its black-hearted master went were often prohibited from flying. This time, it was finally time for it to show its skills. Let its fans see that this young master has some skills. Xiao Hanyo flew into the air and threw a big fireball at the black-clothed man. The black-clothed man quickly dodged to the side, and the 4-tailed Xiao Hong Red Fox fireball arrived again. Just as the black-clothed man was about to dodge, a hole appeared under his feet, and one of his feet was stuck in it. Just as the black-clothed man pulled his foot out, Yun Chujio's purple needle and spiritual piglet arrived again. Although the 3 silly cuties and Yun Chujio's spirit energy were not high, they could not withstand the 3 strikes from the air, the ground, and the ground. The black-robed man was flustered and agitated. Yun Chujio's goal was to stall this black-robed man. As long as Di Baiming and Shui Wuji finished one, she would come over to help. Therefore, this guy was very confident. As expected, the combined might of Di Baiming and Shui Wuji was quite powerful. Very quickly, they killed a black-robed man. Immediately, they came over to help Yun Chujio deal with this black-robed man. The black-robed man did not have an easy time dealing with Yun Chujio and the 3 dumb beasts. The moment Di Baiming and Shui Wuji joined in, they immediately fell into a disadvantageous position. Very quickly, this black-robed man was also killed by Yun Chujio and the others. The situation was completely reversed and the Tianyuan Academy had the absolute advantage. 2 hours later, only 2 black-robed men were left. The remaining 5 black-robed men had all died. The two black-robed men knew that the situation was over and they wanted to escape. Yun Chujio knew that they had to eradicate the roots of the problem. Once they escaped, it might bring even greater disaster to the Tianyuan Academy. Hence, Yun Chujio gave Di Biming and the others a look. Everyone surrounded the two of them, not giving them any chance to escape. After another round of fighting, the remaining two men in black were finally killed by the crowd. Everyone heaved a sigh of relief. However, looking at the injured people everywhere, their hearts were extremely heavy. They knew that the sky was about to change. The spiritual power of the men in black who came this time was almost at the peak of the 9th level of the spiritual venerable realm. Just 21 of them almost destroyed the Tianyuan Academy. If more people came in the future, not to mention the Tianyuan Academy, even the Tianyuan continent would be hard to protect. However, now was not the time to think about these things. It was more important to treat the injured and deal with the aftermath. It was easy to deal with the injured with superficial injuries, but it was very difficult to deal with the students whose dantian had been shattered. If their dantian was destroyed, they could not cultivate, and their lives could be considered wasted. The dried old man was already seriously injured, and coupled with his guilt, he directly spat out a mouthful of blood and fainted. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.